making a video on the Targeted Individual Program UK. A few things I want to mention. Targeting recently has kind of changed a bit. They've started using more psychological means instead of noise means, because the noise campaign recently has been very bad. Constant sirens, car horning, alarms, the usual stuff that they do. So, it's constant, man. It's constant. So a few things they've been doing one of the things they've done is been messing with my computer, trying to stop me being able to get my PayPal and my email password back, because I changed the password and I forgot, and the first code I put in didn't work, so I had to try again to get another code. But they've also disabled my ad block, so my guess is so they can send subliminal messages, because a lot of TIs get subliminal messages through pop-ups and whatnot, and that's one thing I've started getting is a lot of pop-ups. But yeah, I like to discuss a few things they've been doing. So I've been getting a lot of the subliminal messages. I had a car go past me. I was at the bus stop waiting for my bus and to see my family, and they always target me super heavy when I see my family. So I'm sat at the bus stop and I filmed it, on the way down. But I'll talk about that in a bit. But I'm waiting at the bus stop and there's this car going down, and this guy, he just opens the door, slams the door with a really angry look on his face. You know what I mean? And this is like one thing they like to do is, send like a threatening. It's like a threat. The slamming. They like to do things with a violent actions. They'll slam certain things. So like one of the things they start doing with me in my flat is they've been slamming the flat doors really violently when I do things they don't like. And I mean really violently, like almost where you think the door hinge is going to come off. So, he slams the door, and then I look at the plate and it says Pavlo 4. Now, I don't know too much about Pavlovian conditioning, but I know it's a part of the targeting. I need to research more into it. But I think that was a subliminal message for Pavlo, like for Pavlovian conditioning. Now, I also saw another car on my journey that drove in front of my bus that said shite is SH1ETE, something like that. But again, it's the subliminal message. It's always negative subliminal messages, and they're trying to implant. I come out my flat on the day I see my family, and I guess they know that because we had something planned. I go out, and my neighbour and the caretaker janitor guy, who I call the bold perp, see you next Tuesday perp, bold see you next Tuesday perp. He stood there and he's talking to my neighbour, and I noticed he was doing a hand signal, right? And he had his hand behind his back, and his pointing finger was pointing at the ground. Now, this is a variation on a hand signal they do, where I've had this done, and other TIs, notably Nigel Nicholson, has reported this done as well, where they put the hand behind the back with the palm facing out. But this was a variation on this, but he had his pointing finger pointing down. Now I head out, I ignore it, and also he had red on, but again I ignore it. I said hello to my neighbour and she gave me a very kind of like brushed off, like that, you know what I mean? Because they've got my neighbours involved with my targeting, and this is through the smear campaign and through the lies that are told about you, because they tell everyone that knows you that you're dangerous, you're a paedophile, you're this, that or other. They make up complete lies about you to get them to participate in this program. So I go past them, and I'm walking down, and there's a city taxi there with its side lights on, and I'm filming, And this was after I filmed this rubber band, which is again being used to target me and targeted in Aberdeen with a subliminal message about karma. Now they've been trying to say that their karma, basically, to me and targeted in Aberdeen, have been getting this subliminal message with the rubber bands, because one of the things they said is that targeted in Aberdeen got a message about was karma is like a rubber band, you know, it'll you can only stretch it so far and then it snaps or it'll come back on you or something. So they've been, you know, targeting me with rubber bands, especially in like the sideways 8 infinity symbol as well. I've been targeted with that. And another thing, they've been targeting me with the number 7 as well. That's a number they've been targeting me with recently. So you know, there's a rubber band. I go out, I go to the road, and there's a city taxi cab, yeah, with its side lights on. And you'll see on my video that as I approach it, its side lights turn off, yeah? Like turn off. It turns off the side lights as I'm approaching it. And then on the far left, there's another perp with one hand in his pocket. And you'll also hear as I walk down, there's a guy calling to his dogs. Now, the one hand in the pocket, I've discussed this a lot, it's something they've conditioned me to. I don't know what it means, but it's been used constantly for about 2 years. I see it as like some kind of threat, like they're going to pull something out. You know what I mean? That's like the subliminal message is. It's a subliminal threat, that's what I take it as. But yeah, they condition me to that, and it's something they constantly do. So you'll hear me talking really loud and looking at this guy, and it'll be on film. You'll see, you know, he doesn't say anything, which is the typical reaction of these perps, because they know exactly what they're doing, and you know, they know they're in the wrong. And he looks really uncomfortable and upset when I start, you know, talking about it. But yeah, I walk past him and there's a guy calling to his dogs, and one thing they've been doing a lot is they'll have people walking past me saying, you know, come on, good girl, come on, or variations of good boy, come on. No, there's this woman who constantly, when she walks past me with her dog, she goes, no. I call her the fat shades, because she's fat and she wears shades. You know what I mean? But she's the fat shades perp. But every time she walks past me, she'll do that. She'll say, no. You know what I mean? Really loud so I can hear it. But yeah, they target me with that. I go down and, you know, and there's another guy, before they had the, you know, the car door slamming thing, there was another guy giving me that same hand signal with the pointed finger down. And I guess it's some subliminal message saying, we're going to take you down. You know what I mean? So, again, it's all subliminal messaging. They're trying to make you feel a certain way and condition you to certain things. So, you know, I get on my bus and meet up with my family, and then there's a car, you know, as soon as I get off my bus, there's a woman in a car and she starts the engine and drives off as soon as I get off my bus. Yeah, likes to target me, because they've been having people waiting for me a lot. So, you know, I go to this place and we're going to have some fish and chips, and I'm going through Bakewell, and an ambulance comes down with the sirens, you know, the usual, where they play the sirens and then turn the sirens off. So, you know, I noticed that and have discussion, and, you know, Dad says, oh, you know, it's common sense that, we had basically a small argument like saying it's common sense that, you know, the targeting is not happening to me, but I think I know common sense, and if you do research on governments, especially the US government and other governments doing mind control and psychological operations and illegal human experimentation, you'll soon find out that, you know, one, it's happened before, and two, I'm completely justified to think that the possibility I could be a victim. I mean, I know I'm a victim of this because I've been going through this since 2014. So to me, there's no if or buts about it. I know I'm being targeted, and I know it's 90% likely it's the government, because only the government has access to the police. Only the government can turn all these people against you. Only the government has access to paramedics to get them to target you, or fire engines, because they've been targeting me a lot with fire engines recently, and all that kind of stuff. That only the government has the resources, and especially the directed energy and the voice to skull and all that kind of technology. Only the government. I can't just go to the shop and buy this stuff, you know what I mean? Just like you can't go to a shop and buy a gun. You have to have connections to buy a gun. You can't just go to the shop and buy a directed energy weapon or voice to skull or something like that, you know what I mean? You have to have the right connections. So to me, it's the government that's doing this as part of experimentation into mind control, energy weapons, psychological tactics, and also it's being used in an offensive way to try and control, what you do, and to try and get rid of people they don't like, you know what I mean? So to me there's no ifs, ands or buts about it. It is being done by the government, you know what I mean? That's all I have to say. You can think what you want, but I know what is being done to me, and I know I'm being targeted. And you can say, common sense will tell you that it's all in your head. Well, do your research on mind control, human experimentation. Do your research on COINTELPRO, Project Monarch, MKUltra, Project Paperclip, especially when they got the Nazi scientists over, and all the other kind of projects. I mean, people say, before Edward Snowden brought it out, that, you're just paranoid, the government doesn't spy on anyone. And then it comes out that, yes, the government has been spying on everyone's messages, emails, etc. Right? So, maybe it'll come out in the future that the government has been doing all this kind of stuff. And as a victim of this, I know the government is doing this. Right? No one can tell me this is in my head and the government is not doing this, because I experience this every day. Every day I'm targeted to some degree. It is not in my mind. It is not. I'm not mentally ill. That's why I document and film. I'm not a lunatic. I know what I'm talking about. I've done my research. Right? But yeah, people are so entrenched in what they've been told to believe. They're not open to doing the research on the subjects and finding out more about this kind of stuff. So people are quick to point the finger and say, you're crazy. It's all in your head. You're exaggerating. Common sense will tell you this isn't happening. All the usual things that I get told. You know what I mean? But I know what's going on. So yeah, they do the ambulance thing, and whip-de-doo, what a surprise. When I get to the chip shop where we're going, guess what? There's a paramedic vehicle there, isn't there? Yeah? And there's perps watching me. There's people watching me. I know I'm being watched. I can see them watching me. So, do a walk afterwards and come back to the car and sorry, that was a dry throat. Guess what? There's an old couple in the car parked where our car is, just sat there watching me. Yeah, this is the perps again trying to target me. So we get in the car and then we're gone. Coming back to my mum's, guess what is waiting for me? A car with the side lights on, see, this is the fixation drill. Just like the taxi I filmed this morning, there is a car with the side lights on, like on my mum's street. So, this is just the fixation drill, the sensitization, how they try to, because I guess what they're trying to do now is sensitize me to side lights. But I'm going to nip it in the bud and ignore it, because I know that's what they're trying to do. Because they can't easily do the one headlight in the summer, because that's what they usually do to target me. And you know, the one brake light, they can only do that so much, you know, in the summer without people thinking, what the fuck's going on. So instead they have to do this, I guess, to try and sensitize me to the running lights. That's the proper term for them, not side lights. But you know, I'm not gonna fall into that trap. I'm gonna ignore it. But yeah, I just thought I'd give a quick update. Yeah. Yeah, they disabled my ad block. I have ad block plus on Mozilla Firefox on my computer, and it's not working. That's because they want to send subliminal messages, and with ad block working, they can't do that. So I'm going to see what I can do about that. Alright. Yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say, and yeah, that's it.